Well, add another thing to the long list of cover-ups the Biden administration, his inner circle of handlers, and his chief caretaker, Jill, have engaged in. I'm sure you heard by now, Biden has been diagnosed with a, quote, aggressive form of prostate cancer that metastasized and then spread to his bones. And some doctors are saying that it's stage 4. Biden's doctors haven't admitted that. But other doctors are saying that according to the Gleason score of 9, grade group 5 with metastasis to the bone, that is the equivalent of a stage 4 diagnosis. Which begs the question, how long have they been covering this up? Because here is old Joe back in 2022, well, admitting that he has cancer.
And because it was a 4-lane highway that was accessible, my mother drove us, and rather than us be able to walk. And guess what? The first frost.
He's talking about all the pollution in the environment.
You know what was happening? You had to put on your windshield wipers to get literally the oil slick off the window. That's why I and so damn many other people I grew up have cancer. And why can't, for the longest time, Delaware had the highest cancer rate in the nation.
But like every other one of his Freudian slips, that was called a mistake. This just 2 days before Jake Tapeworm's book comes out, which exposes the cover-up of the Biden administration, just the denial of the obvious reality about Joe Biden's decline. That's how shameless Jake Tapper is. He's blaming the cover-up on the Biden administration, not on the media, which obviously he himself was a major part of. And this book, this waste of paper, has been their top story for the last week as they are desperately trying to portray themselves as having been duped by the clever and cunning Biden administration about old Joe's decline when it was obvious to anybody who has eyes.
In my upcoming book with Alex Thompson, I'm not sure if you've heard of it, it's on Biden's decline. It's called Original Sin.
There's a little sarcasm there because even he knows that it's pathetically shameful to be promoting this book 24/7 as if it's some big revelation from inside the Biden administration about what really happened.
The book and excerpts and reviews and such have resurfaced the conversation about age and President Biden's aging, and there's been a lot.
Have resurfaced the obvious, what we all knew for years. One thing is co-author, really just the author of the book. They decided to partner with this clown over at Axios so that they could brand the book as a CNN exclusive and promote it all over their network all week. One thing they did release, however, that of course he's had an embargo on, he just was part of the cover-up and now he's pretending that he's revealing the insider secrets, is audio of Joe Biden being interviewed by prosecutor Robert Hur about the classified documents that old Joe stole and then illegally stored at his house. Remember the same thing that they charged President Trump for doing, for having documents at Mar-a-Lago? Of course, Joe Biden was never indicted for doing the exact same thing that Donald Trump did. Actually, what Joe Biden did was worse because Donald Trump didn't know a secret about him having the documents. He told the National Archives that he had them and that they were declassified and they were his personal property. The documents that Joe Biden had, he stole and then kept in his garage next to his Corvette, completely unsecure, and didn't tell anybody. And remember when the transcript of his interview with the prosecutor was released, it was revealed that he forgot that his son had died. He didn't know what year it was. And then the liberal media went into a full defense mode.
The comments that were made by that prosecutor, gratuitous, inaccurate, and inappropriate. The way that the president's demeanor in that report was characterized could not be more wrong on the facts and clearly politically motivated.
Well, now we have the actual audio, which has been part of the cover-up of Joe Biden's decline, which confirms, well, the obvious.
So during this time, we were living in Chambers Road, and there were documents related to the Penn Biden Center or the Biden or the cancer moonshot or your book. Where did you keep papers that related to those things that you were actively working on?
Well, I don't know. This is what, 27 17, 18, that area.
Yes, sir.
Remember, in this time frame, my son is either been deployed or is dying. And so it was, and by the way, there were still a lot of people at the time.
By the way, Beau Biden died in 2015. So when they said that Joe Biden didn't remember what year his son died, that was a fact. And in case you missed it, here's Jake Tapeworm denying that Joe Biden had any kind of mental decline whatsoever after Laura Trump pointed out the obvious.
Every time he comes on stage or they turn to him, I'm like, Joe, can you get it out? Let's get the words out, Joe. You kind of feel bad for him.
How do you think it makes little kids with stutters feel when they see you make a comment like that?
Oh, it was just a stutter. That's the only thing, the only issue with Joe Biden. He was as sharp as a tack otherwise.
First and foremost, I had no idea that Joe Biden ever suffered from a stutter. I think what we see on stage with Joe Biden, Jake, is very clearly a cognitive decline.
Okay.
That's what I'm referring to. It makes me uncomfortable
You are
to watch somebody on stage search for
that's so
questions
amazing. It's so amazing to me
and try and figure out an answer.
A cognitive decline.
Well, when you're trying to tell me that what I was suggesting was
I think that you were
stuttering,
mocking his stutter. Yeah, I think you were mocking his stutter, and I think you have absolutely no standing to diagnose somebody's cognitive decline. I would think that somebody in the Trump family would be more sensitive to people who do not have medical licenses.
Oh, you need a medical license in order to see footage like this and realize that there's something seriously wrong.
Look, a solid meeting with the Los Angeles and what am I doing here? From the excuse me. There also.
This compilation goes on for another 5 minutes, but we all get the point. So before the big emperor has no clothes moment at the debate with President Trump, which ended Joe Biden's presidency and political career, the plan was for the Democrats to just inch him across the finish line with the help of the Operation Mockingbird media, continuing to deny and lie about his mental decline while painting Donald Trump as the reincarnation of Hitler. And then, as President Gerald Ford admitted back in 1989, this was the plan to then get Kamala in as the first female president.
Mr. Ford, what advice would you give a young lady wanting to become president of the United States?
Well, I would say get back in the kitchen and make your husband and children some dinner like a real woman. But what say you, President Ford?
Well, I hope we do have a young lady at some point become president of the United States. I can tell you how I think it will happen, because it won't happen in the normal course of events.
Because they don't have the appeal to actually win a general election.
Either the Republican or Democrat political party will nominate a man for president and a woman for vice president. And the woman and man will win.
Remember, John McCain tried to do this back in 2008 with Sarah Palin, who is a nice lady, but obviously was way in over her head and severely unqualified to be vice president.
So you'll end up with a president, a male, and a vice president, a female.
Black female in this case, extra diversity.
And in that term of office of the president will die. And the woman will become president under the law or constitution.
Or the president will resign, or his inner circle will 14th Amendment him. I think we need to be reminded more frequently that President Trump literally dodged a bullet to save America from this.
Okay.
You're considered the most liberal United States senator.
Somebody said that.
Yeah, somebody said that. It's your voting record which said that, lady. Here's President Trump talking about the tough questions that the media used to throw at old Joe.
How was your breakfast today? What kind of ice cream are you having? It's vanilla. It's vanilla and chocolate. Oh, great. Nobody ever asked me what flavor ice cream I'm eating, okay?
Someone else who's not well is Rosie O'Donnell, who literally fled the country because President Trump won the 2024 presidential election. To her credit, one of only, I think, 2 celebrities to actually follow through with their promise to do so out of the dozens and dozens and dozens. But despite leaving the country and moving over to Ireland to escape Donald Trump, she still can't stop watching CNN. And so her Trump Derangement Syndrome continues to get worse.
And I've been having trouble sleeping. I really have. And I can get to sleep, but then I wake up. And a lot of people have told me it's cortisol levels, which it probably is.
Here she is previously on the Cloud News Network talking about her big move to escape Donald Trump's tweets.
Rosie, thanks so much for joining us. As you know, some people entertain the idea of moving abroad after the 2024 election. You actually did it. Tell us about your experience so far, and do you have any regrets?
You are the craziest celebrity of them all. Please tell us what's going on in your head.
I have no regrets. Not a day has gone by that I thought it was the wrong decision. I was welcomed with open arms. I knew after reading Project 2025 that if Trump got in, it was time for me and my non-binary child to leave the country. And although I was not one of the celebrities who announced that that's what I would do, I made the decision within my family and my therapist. And should he win, and then when he did, we
imagine consulting with a therapist about whether you should leave the country or not if President Trump wins.
We made the plan into action, and we were gone before he was inaugurated.
You've been a longtime critic of this Trump administration and a target of President Trump for that matter as well.
Yes, a target in one of his most hilarious zingers ever.
You've called women you don't like fat pigs, dogs, slobs, and disgusting animals. Your Twitter account
Only Rosie O'Donnell.
No, it wasn't.
Yes. And since Jim Acosta has been fired from CNN, he has been transitioning into Rosie O'Donnell. And with the unofficial kickoff for summer coming up this Memorial Day weekend, you can get all of my designs in tank tops from my online store, markdice.com. So head on over there, click the link in the description below. You get the classic Trump Fight, Fight, Fight shirt, the Operation Mockingbird shirt. Warning, contains facts and opinions some may find offensive, or any of my awesome designs. All available in a tank top All available in a t-shirt, long sleeve, and a hoodie, and now tank tops as well. So head on over to markdice.com or click the link in the description below and check them out.